welcome to my day. So I want to tell you a story of my week. Today is Friday and it's been a doozy. So the kids had off Monday from school because it was New Year's Day. And then Tuesday they all went back and Miles went to school. He had a great day. He had fun. He was so happy when he got home because he got to see one of his old paras. Or PCA, his old PCA, personal care attendant is PCA. She came to visit because she was home, and so he got home. He was super happy. He's watching TV after school. Dave and I are in the kitchen making dinner, and I finished it up and I went out to get Miles. He had this weird cough during the day, like in the morning, and when he got home, it was like a gaggy, like just a tiny baby like he was gagging almost, but nothing ever came of it. So I was like, this is weird. Maybe he has some drainage or something in the back. He didn't have a runny nose or any other cold symptoms, just this weird cough. So I don't know what that was from. But so then we hear him cough once while we're making dinner. And then when I went out to get him to put him in his chair for dinner, here he is, just laying on the floor watching TV, and he's just covered in vomit. It's just like all over the place. He had, I guess, a brunch for lunch at school. It was like French toast, cinnamon French toast, and I don't know what else. But it luckily smelled like cinnamon French toast, so it wasn't super gross. But, I mean, it was still really gross. Anyways, so I wasn't sure if it was from the mucus that he coughed and, or if he was actually sick. So I put him in his chair. Well, I cleaned him up, cleaned the floor. And then I was like, I don't know if I should feed him dinner because like he's choked before and thrown up. And then nothing else came of it. So I thought, well, maybe he's still hungry. I don't know. So I tried to give him some dinner. He had a couple bites, like 8 bites of dinner. And then he didn't want to eat anymore. And then he threw up again. Okay, so it's probably the stomach bug. Maybe. Still not sure. So then waited a while, just left him in his chair because it's easier to clean up on the hardwood floor. I put towels around him just in case, just like big bath towels, wrapped him around so it would keep his chair and his clothes clean. So then, like, I don't know, an hour later, he pukes a lot more, twice more. And I was like, okay. So at that point, we had to clean his, like, he still got it everywhere because it was, like, twice. And I wasn't ready with the bucket, and I missed it. And so it was mid-changing him, and he puked some more. So we decided, yes, this is the stomach bug. So I put towels all over the floor, and I lay him there. And then throughout the evening, okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4. So then he's laying on the floor, and then throughout the evening, I did try to give him his medicine because it's a seizure medicine, so he needs it. I think that's all I gave him was the seizure medicine and his baclofen for his tight muscles. And then he threw that up. He threw up maybe 2 or 3 times on the floor then with our towels and stuff. So it's super. Oh no, I was holding him the one time on the couch. We cleaned him up and I was gonna snuggle him so he could go to sleep. But then he started to throw up. So as he's getting bigger, it's really super hard to help him when he's throwing up if he's not in his chair. So really we want to like minimize the amount that's going to get in his hair, and because it's harder to give him a shower and it gets really cold, so it's trying to find a way to minimize the cleanup and to catch everything. So like in his chair we'll put draped towels around him so it'll get on the towels and we can just wash the towels. On the floor we'll lay out a bunch of beach towels on the floor and then have him lay there. If he's on the couch, we'll put towels all over the couch where he's going to be. And then one on top of him to try to catch it so we don't have to change his clothes. So I was holding him, and it used to be okay before when he was smaller to hold him and be able to like support his body and hold a bucket at the same time. But as he's getting older, I'm finding that like he'll this is so graphic. I'm sorry. If you don't like puke, don't listen to my story. So he'll be like throwing up forward and you're trying to catch it in a bucket, but then like between throwing up, he arches his back and tries to like turn. So you're trying to forcefully hold him up because he's like planking, and you're trying to hold the bucket to get ready for the next puke because he's clearly not done. He relaxes when he's done. So it took two of us to hold him up. So we're like, okay, so we can't hold him on the couch anymore. I was debating about whether to put him to bed or to sleep on the couch with him, but I realized last time he was sick that it was almost nearly impossible because we were both reclined on the love seat, and then like if he started to throw up, I would have to try to hold him up while I was not supported because I was in the recliner. I couldn't get the recliner up fast enough, and then hold the bucket. So I just like strained my abs that one time. So like, okay, well maybe I'll just let him sleep on the floor in the living room because it's carpeted and we put towels down, and then I can be able to hop up quick and help him. So we realized that that was working pretty well. It did take two of us though, because we wanted to hold up his, like, so he's laying on his side, and if he started to throw up, we would hold his head up so he wouldn't rub his hair in it, but still able to get it out and forward so it wouldn't get all over his clothes. It was an ordeal. And then, so then around 11:30, he threw up again, and this time it was like blood, like dark red. You could smell the iron. We had it dim in the room, so we didn't look too close, but it was definitely blood. And we have never had that happen before. So I was like, should I take him to the hospital? Because, you know, everything happens at night, late at night. I don't know why. At least with my kids it does. Anyways, so Dave Quick's like, let me Google it. So we're cleaning him up. He Googles it. He says it's probably from a tear in his esophagus from throwing up so much, so viciously. And then that's what the blood comes from. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot of blood for just a tear coming up. He's like, but just to be safe, we should take him in, because what if it's something else and then we wait too long, and then, I don't know, all the scenarios play through your head. So I get to the ER and check in, and it's super packed. And I was like, oh my gosh, my husband told me to go to a different hospital than the one I went to. And I was headed there, and then I was like, no, all of his information is in this other one that's usually super packed. And I was like, I'm just going to go there because it'll be easier. They have his name and his whole history in there. I'm not going to be rewriting the book while he's throwing up in the lobby. So we get there. It's definitely packed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I made the wrong decision. But she checked me in. All of his information was there, so I didn't have to give her anything other than my ID. And so I get into the waiting room. There's only one child there's a pediatric waiting room, which is nice because the other one was packed. There were some people there who were not for peds, but they kind of were hiding over there because the other one was a little rowdy. But so I sit down and he starts to vomit again. I catch it. I feel terrible that everyone has to see and listen to it. And then they call me back to check me in, to check his vitals and stuff. And they tell me they're going to fast track me because of his condition, because of his diagnosis, and because he's vomiting blood, just to make sure. So she comes in, checks. She said, we're going to, as soon as the room opens up, you'll be in. It'll just be a little bit. So I go back to the waiting room. He's okay there. And a couple minutes later, after I settle in, they come and get us again. They check us in. Think before they got the IV and all that stuff in, he did vomit again. This one was just kind of a normal one, only had a couple of flecks of blood in it. And then so I'm trying to figure out at what point they get the IV in, get our information, get settled, and tell me they're going to do an X. I talked to the doctor. They said, you know, sometimes it's just a tear and everything, but, you know, just because he's nonverbal and can't tell us if any other areas of his belly or anything like that hurts, we should just make sure that it isn't anything worse. And I was like, he doesn't show any symptoms. Like, he'll vomit and then he'll just be fine. So it's kind of hard to know. He hardly ever gets a fever. Yeah, he just doesn't show any symptoms. So it's hard to know if something else is going on. And he has a very high pain tolerance. You stick him to get a blood draw and he barely flinch. He'll flinch, but that's about it. So then I think before we went to get our tests, he did vomit blood again. And the nurse was there to help me, which was awesome because it took both of us to hold him up and to catch it. We got it all in the bucket though. And then we were able to show the doctor what it looked like, which was nice. So he gets a ultrasound of his stomach. He gets an x-ray of his stomach. They took blood work. Everything came back normal. And then, so it's like it was like 1:20, I think was the last time he vomited. I got there at midnight. And then, so then it was around 3:15, 4, I forget, when somebody came in to say we should do the swallow test to see if he can keep liquids down. They did give him IV fluids for a while and gave him some Zofran to help with his nausea. And then they gave him something else that helps with the acid reflux kind of a thing. I forget what that was called. Which helped. So he didn't vomit after that anymore. But then, like, he fell asleep around 4, I think, ish, when he was about to do his swallow study. And he comes in and tells me to do his swallow study. Miles all of a sudden shoots up. Like, not shoots up. like that. And then he, like, turns to the side and his eyes are, like, going. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's having a seizure. So I pushed the button and called, and then they came in. I said, I think he's having a seizure. It's a little one, because he would do, like, that's what it looked like when he had seizures before. He would arch his arms up, and then he would look to the side, and that was kind of it. But this one, he was doing that, but then he would kind of, like, look, but then he would go back, and then he would look. I said, this one's weird. He hasn't had a seizure in, like, 7 years. A breakthrough seizure. He's on medication that keeps them from breaking through. Basically, he had a stroke before he was born, so part of his brain was injured, and since it was beyond repair, it just kind of disintegrates. So parts of his brain is firing to nothing, which causes the seizures. So he's on medication so that you don't see the seizures. So we haven't seen one in a long time, which is awesome, but I could definitely tell this was one, and his heart was beating super, super fast. His breathing was a little irregular. So the alarms were going off, and I was like, yeah, this is the seizure. It's a weird one, but it is definitely something. It didn't even last 2 minutes, and then he was okay. So then they were like, let's hold off on the swallow thing, and I'm going to go check because I said he probably threw up his medicine, his seizure medicine, but there's a certain range in his body, in his blood, that it should be okay if he misses it. But I guess from being sick, it triggered it more. So anyways, the doctor went and asked the peds specialist or something if they had any of his trileptal medicine that could go through his IV instead of by mouth. She came back a while later and said there wasn't. So to try to give him his medicine by mouth with some water. So he did take his medicine and about 10 ml of water, and he kept it down for half an hour. So then they said we could go, and just to keep an eye on it. So we got discharged, we came home, he slept for 5 hours, I think it was. And they said to just give him liquids, and then to try his medication, give him more medication. Because usually I give it to him around 6:30 a.m. and then 8 p.m. before bed. So I had given it to him. I forget. So anyway, she said to give him his medicine around noon, and then again at bedtime. So he slept till about 11:30. And I was like, well, so 11:45, I gave him his medicine. I know, 15 minutes early, but I was just trying to whatever. So I gave him some water and his medicine, and then about 35 minutes later, he does throw it up, and I was like, ah. So I called the doctor, and she was like, it might just because he has an empty stomach. But I hadn't given anything food because he hadn't, they said to make sure he could hold down liquids before you give him food. And so I was like, well, he slept all morning, so I didn't get a chance to give him liquids. So I don't know. So I just gave him the medicine and the water, and he threw it up. So anyways, I gave him some cracker. She thought since it was 35 minutes that the medicine was able to be absorbed. So we were good there for the medicine aspect of it. She's like, give him something to eat. So I gave him some, like put some warm water with some crackers, and he ate that, and he kept it down. So since then, he's been eating and keeping everything down, and he's just tired now. He went to school today because he ate fine yesterday and he had energy yesterday, but he was also watching TV. So today they told me he's at school and he keeps sleeping. So I guess he didn't get enough sleep like I thought. The last 2 nights he slept 10 hours, so I thought he was well enough. Anywho, I did email the doctor today and say, hey, from watching him vomit the first 2 times, I am concerned that there are whole pieces of food in there that he did not chew. And I don't know if that's an issue for your stomach or not, just in general, not even being worried about the stomach bug. Because we know that he doesn't always chew his food, which is why we gave him small bites, but it was clear that he didn't chew hardly any of it. There was meat in there from at least 24 to 48 hours before it hadn't been digested. And not that it has anything to do with the stomach bug, I just don't know if it's okay for you to not chew your food and just to have large pieces of food. They're not like large, like that. Anyways, we cut them small enough that if he doesn't chew, he won't choke. So, but she said it's okay because your enzymes break it down in your intestines and your stomach. So I don't know. I did put a message out on my CP group page because I don't want to have to start pureeing food, because I feel like that would be a step where it's hard to come back from once you stop chewing altogether. So maybe we'll start like chopping up his meats and stuff a little more, because meats are a little bit tougher. If you have any suggestions or have dealt with this at all, please comment. This is how we all learn from each other. Yeah, I don't want to take steps. Like, he swallows fine. There's no aspirating or anything like that. He's not choking. He's a pro at swallowing food. Sometimes his gulps sound a little painful, and then we remind him to chew, and he usually does, but apparently not always. So if you have any experience with that, let me know. So anyways, I'm gonna find out what some other people have said and go from there. So that's my exciting time I had this week, trying to catch up on sleep after being awake for a full night. I'm a little old to pull an all-nighter, as it turns out, but luckily the other night Dave let me go to bed, and he did the bedtime routine with the kids. I shouldn't say let me. He was willing. You know, we're a team. So, yeah. I guess that's all I wanted to say about that. Maybe I'll stick some pictures at the end of our time in the ER that I got, and of him with all his towels and whatnot. How we cover him. Okay, so thanks for watching. You were made on purpose, and God loves you. Sometimes things don't make sense and they're rough, but you know that He made you, and He made you for a purpose, and you can share your smile and your life with others. It's really important, and you're really important. Okay. Thanks for watching.